28 seconds in, yes.
If I say anything really bad.
Okay, everybody. Ken's going to say something.
All right. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate your willingness to help us out at TechNova and to help put on BarCamp for the 12th year. A lot more people than I expected, so we'll probably run out of food, but that means I don't have leftovers to take home, and that's okay. You'll starve. Yeah, I will not starve. I will be fine. So, a little bit of storytelling first. 24 years ago, approximately, Bill Gates wrote a memo that cost me my job. He basically told all the execs at Microsoft we're doing it wrong. He was referring to the internet. Microsoft was not a player in the internet at that point. And the project that I was working on, actually I was miles away in Texas working for Compaq at the time, but we were joint partners along with Intel and Microsoft on developing interactive TV. Because everyone was looking at screen time for PCs and saying, what's the next screen time we can capture? How do we keep people involved? How do we make sure we own their eyeballs? And the logical place was, let's go to the TV. And so Microsoft was developing, along with Intel and Compaq and a couple of other companies, interactive TV, with the idea that streaming would be done by the telephone companies and the big cable companies, and they would continue to own your life the way they did back then with 3 or maybe 4 channels, or maybe cable TV if you were lucky. But what Microsoft did is they realized that they weren't a player. And they had all these other companies that were eating their lunch, even with their own information. Microsoft's information was easier to get on the internet than it was on their own internal systems. So Bill Gates wrote this memo in May of '95 that basically said, everything's going to be focused on the internet from now on, all the other projects stop. So I was out of a job because I was hired at Compaq to work specifically on interactive TV. The good news is the next week we all got new jobs, basically supporting Microsoft in going after the internet and doing exactly what they wanted to do, which was go after the business customers and figure out a way to create an internet experience, an internet infrastructure that was going to help Microsoft succeed in that next era. They didn't really know me. Bill Gates didn't know me. He didn't send the memo directly to me. But it impacted my job, and it impacted a lot of jobs across the entire universe of IT. And 26 years before that, this October, which will be 50-year anniversary, so you were celebrating the 50-year anniversary of Apollo, we're also celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the internet. 50 years ago, in October, I think it was the 26th of October, the first internet message was sent. And the researchers at UCLA and at SRI in the Bay Area didn't know what they were doing, but they were also going to screw up a lot of people's jobs. They were going to take a lot of comfortable jobs in telecommunications and IT and really a number of different industries that weren't even looking at communications and thinking about how disruptive is that going to be. That first message between UCLA and SRI was only 3 characters. Actually 2 characters. It failed on the 3rd character. But that little message was just as powerful as Bill Gates' memo saying to the entire industry and really to the world, we're doing it wrong. And that was a key moment in what has shaped our industry and given us all jobs in tech or related to tech and changed everything we know, including the TV stuff that I was working on for Compaq at that point, because that completely got blown up. It was not going to be a TV experience. It was going to be an internet experience thrust upon your TV through Hulu and Netflix and Sling and all the other providers. So that magical memo that made my project team disappear also gave us an entirely new industry. And the reason I tell you that story is because that Microsoft memo, that ARPA message that they sent out that failed, all those things are an indicator to us. We need to look at what we're doing and say, are we doing it right? Or are we doing it wrong? Are we doing things in an iterative way because we've been comfortable with a certain model or technology? Or are we really trying to break the mold? So about 20 years ago in Tampa Bay, a little bit before I got here, so I can't take credit for any of this stuff, a number of people looked at our business model, looked at our economy and said, we're doing it wrong. We've got economic development that's just trying to move companies from other places. We've got sunshine and low taxes. Naturally, everyone's going to want to be here. And a number of people, some people that founded TBTF, other people that founded programs at UT and USF, they looked at it and said, we are doing it wrong. But there were a lot of other people, some of them in this room, that looked at that model and said, they're doing it wrong as well. And realized that the way to grow our tech economy, the way to grow our tech infrastructure here locally is not one big company at a time. It's one geek at a time. It's one person that has that curiosity to basically build something new, to look inside their own company and say, we're doing it wrong, and either do it better in that company or split off and do it in their own company. And that really is what builds our tech ecosystem. That's what builds all tech ecosystems. So the telecommunications companies and the commerce companies and all those dynasties that were really, really big back then, they're all being threatened by people looking at the business model, looking at the technology, and simply saying, you're doing it wrong, and trying to come up with a better way of doing that. So at BarCamp, and now this will be our 12th year at BarCamp, it's based on the people that make those decisions. It's based on the people that have that curiosity. It's based on the grassroots tech community that actually builds things. Not the management team, not the people that fund it, but the people that look at something and say, I can do it better, or I can do it different. And those are the people we want to empower with something like BarCamp. Now, I was explaining earlier to some of you that BarCamp has no agenda when we start out on Saturday morning. It's an unconference, which means anyone can get a room and talk about something. And we encourage those people that have that low-level knowledge about a particular tech topic, something that they use every day, or something that's new coming just over the horizon for the rest of the people in the community, but they specifically know about something that is going to change the way they do business, and they're pretty sure it's probably going to change the way some of their peers do business, and they come out on a Saturday morning, eat a lot of donuts, and share that information. They don't get paid to do it. They don't even get a chance to pre-schedule it. They're not invited to our conference as an individual speaker or a keynote. They're invited as a member of the peer community. They're invited as the hidden talent that we have here that may just want to share something with the other people that are in the community, and those people may walk away going, maybe I'm going to do something different in my business. Or maybe I'm going to chase that person down after they talk about this and talk to them about that. Learn something from that person. Maybe even start a company with that person. And we've had that happen dozens of times based on what we've done at BarCamp. So I can't take credit for what's happening at BarCamp in the past or in the future, because it really is the ultimate crowdsourced model. We go to the community and say, you know something, come share it with the rest of the people. And that's what BarCamp is about. We've been doing it for 11 years successfully. We draw hundreds of people, but it doesn't happen without you, the volunteers, the speakers that come and brave themselves to actually talk in front of a room of 20, 40, 50 people. And I like to say, we are the conference for introverts. We are the place where people that are tech people can come comfortably talk to other tech people and not worry about how their PowerPoint slides look, or how they're dressed, or where they work. It's about sharing the knowledge that's in their head because they think it's interesting to other people in the room. And that's really what we work on. And BarCamp works because of curiosity. BarCamp works because of volunteers. And lastly, BarCamp works because of sponsors, because it is a free event. We never charge for anything. We do it on the generosity of the business community and the tech business community specifically, that write small checks to help us with the rent, to help us with the donuts, to help us with the t-shirts, and to help put on this event every single year. So I thank you all for being part of this, coming out tonight and having a beer with us. I thank you for your volunteering on October 5th, where we will be celebrating the Internet's 50th birthday, and hopefully have a lot of topics that talk about that, because we have come so far in 50 years that topics and products and businesses and services those people could not have even imagined. They were academic researchers. They had no idea the shit that was about to come down on all these different industries, nor did they care. And that's really the bravery that it takes for people in this industry to go, I think you're doing it wrong. So help us do it better. Help us put on a great BarCamp, a 12th anniversary, a 50th anniversary for the internet. I hope there are some space talks, since we are also talking about the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. And if you can put that on your calendar and tell your friends about attending BarCamp, explain to them what it's all about, that would be great because we want to have a good showing. If you can bring other volunteers in, that would be great. If you can bring sponsors in to help us do that, that would be fantastic as well. Our sponsorships are very, very affordable. And lastly, if you're a content type person, a social media type person, and want to get involved a little bit earlier than October, we're going to be having a workshop next week where we're going to just sit down, write a boatload of content so we can basically have all that content queued up for doing the promotion, the press outreach, the sponsorship outreach, all those different things. So if you're available next Wednesday for a couple of hours, see me and we can talk about that. But if not, have a beer, have some snacks in the back, mark off October 5th, Saturday. If you're working sign up, it'll be an ungodly hour, about 6 a.m. or 6:30 when you need to be there. But even if you can only give an hour in the middle of the day, we're happy to have you because volunteers and the crowdsourcing of your talent is what makes BarCamp possible. So thank you very much.
We get something if you want. You want to go over the different types of volunteering that we can do?
I did want to go over that. You want to talk about that?
I can.
Okay,
sure. So all of you here were like, what do I do? What's going on? So we're going to be having a work day. This is something that I brought over from BarCamp Sarasota that we did before that was really helpful. Many hands make light work. Cassandra, I know you've offered to kind of help with some rounding of volunteers and stuff like that. Kia, I know you always do that. So first, who wants to be day of volunteers, and who wants to kind of help beforehand? Both is fine. Both is fine. You can do that. So basically what it is we want to try to make this light work. Basically, the board of BarCamp is like 4 people, and we end up trying to do all of the work. And what happens is every other year we've tried to just bring everybody in for the day of the event to help the registration, help the event go. And we're like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? We have everybody who wants to make this a great event. Let's make it a community event. Let's bring everybody in and try to really make this happen. So we're going to need help with sponsors. So with sponsors, what that might be just helping to identify companies that we can reach out to. Wendy's actually helping us with press releases and those type of things. So if we have content, we can put press releases out. So these are the type of things that we will need to be doing.
And we already have accumulated a list we've been working on over the years. So we even have a target list where you can reach out to.
Right. So a target list that we can reach out to. But as we start, nurturing that, who knows who. The nice thing of us being a tech community is we do know people in the tech community that can really help. So that's going to be a piece. Social media content and really getting that out there, making sure that we're reaching out. One of the things that's happened with BarCamp over the last couple of years is we've got a little bit too much, I'll say influencer marketing, and being a marketer, I'll accept the guilt for this. Is some of this is, are we bringing cool stuff that is actually real content? Or are we bringing someone just kind of talking about what they did and patting themselves on the back? And so we want to reach in a little bit more and get a little bit deeper into what we can do. I mean, I've seen 14-year-olds do amazing BarCamp presentations, building, water-cooled fusion things and Minecraft servers and everything else that they're really passionate about. Yeah. And when you watch someone passionate about something talk in front of a room, it doesn't matter how old they are, it all goes away. And like what Ken was saying is that whole thing, this is really great for introverts because it is. So just because you're volunteering doesn't mean you can't do a talk. We'd actually like all of you to do talks as well. So that's the whole idea, is that if we have enough people, we can manage registration. So, how many people haven't been to BarCamp? Great. Okay, so what happens at the beginning of BarCamp is, as Ken was saying, is kind of a sun conference. There's no people scheduled beforehand. So we'll have a registration desk that starts at, 8 o'clock in the morning? 8:30? 7:30. 7:30. Boy, that's early. You can tell what I volunteer for.
The major influx of people for the day who are really serious about BarCamp will show up at 7:30.
That's true.
The people who want the prime spot, the prime room.
So
the Kia shows up at Krispy Kreme before they open.
I'm there before they unlock the door.
So the idea is we're going to have 2 things at the beginning. We have a registration table. And the registration table is where you get a name badge and find out if you're VIP, those type of things, so we need help there. And then we'll have a giant whiteboard that's going to have about 12 rooms and time slots. And then what they'll do is they'll start putting their name on things and posting it in different rooms. Then we have a group that have laptops, and those people put it online so that we make sure that everybody can get to it. This year we will have a solution that will work online.
Everybody loves the whiteboard.
Wait a minute. Okay, that's why we also have tech people here. Hey, we can make sure that we get our registration working before the event. That's a great idea. I mean, last year we had an app that worked horribly. No one downloaded it, and then everybody wondered where the events were. So these are what we need help with, is doing logistics for day of, but let's plan some of this beforehand so that we can do, this piece. The idea is, what we said, next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, preferably in the morning in Ybor.
Right.
If you can show up,
probably
that'd be great.
Undercroft, and we have rooms there. We'll have internet there, and the whole idea is.
About that schedule thing before you move on.
Sure.
So the schedule only starts in the morning. So the reason that technology is so important is because the schedule builds through the day. So it's continually like a moving target as the day goes on. So it's important that people are able to be updated on new topics that show up on the board. Sometimes people go to lunch and have a conversation, and then out of lunch they're like, "Hey, I want to talk about this in the afternoon." So you never know.
Well, like last year, I did a talk on Bitcoin and butterflies. The problem was I didn't know anything about Bitcoin. So what I had to do is I did a panel discussion of 45 people, which was the audience. I stood in the front of the room and I asked everybody else about Bitcoin. And we actually had Aetna there, a couple of developers there, and we got projects that potentially a business formed out of that conversation that happened with me just standing in the front of the room and going, yes, you next. And it's kind of interesting because even in this situation, you don't have to know everything about a technology or something. The idea is that you're getting up there because you're interested in it and realizing there might be people there who know it more than you. And so that's kind of where we want to pull this together. But from a volunteer standpoint, we want to kind of get people going early so that you can volunteer, we create media content, we can have all that stuff scheduled, the tweets and everything else. I just got back from Louisiana from Startup Bus. I'm sitting there next to the guy. Thank you. The guy behind me in line, was kind of quiet and he had a lot of pins on his bag, and I'm like, what do you do? Well, he is he's a comic artist for Marvel. He does all the cover artwork of Marvel, and so he's said, yeah, send me a message. I'd love to come. And so it's unique, fun stuff like that it might be different than we're used to seeing. Between IoT and drones and everything else, there's lots of cool stuff coming out. We got USF does their drone races with brainwaves. We can get them to come by and do some stuff. We're going to be at USF. But do you understand what I mean? It's part of this is like, how do we start reaching out, identifying some people? And one of the strategies, similar to what Joel was saying, that I had a couple years ago, where I was teaching someone how to do social media, and we were looking at how to do this. Well, I actually gave her a list of all the top social media accounts in Florida. And some of those became long-lasting friendships. Like a friend of mine who just reached out to me yesterday, and she now is still good friends with a lot of those people they reached out to, because people who have huge social media followings have big reach. A lot of people follow them. So when they mention an event, some people go, oh, I should check that out. Those are the things that we can do. So there's a social media strategy, there's a press release strategy, there is an operations strategy trying to get this, some content strategy getting this. Sponsorships is really important. If we don't have the money, we can't really put up the show.
How much money do we need?
How much money do we need? We usually
Not,
raise
as,
around
not as
40.
much as you think, because we really, the universities are very, very good. So basically enough to buy donuts,
T-shirts,
Lunch.
and lunch.
To try and minimize all those costs as much as possible, we negotiated the pricing with Krispy Kreme and the same.
The words I always use are, $40,000 to put on an event with 1,000 people, 12 rooms, and 52 presentations.
And it's at Keiser, right, this year?
Yeah.
Keiser University on Waters, so we're not confused with the Keiser University that happens to be in Pinellas or any of the other Keiser Universities around the country.
Which has already happened. But
Keiser on Waters, good venue.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
And they are very excited to have us there. The classrooms are a little bit smaller than USF, but everything's outfitted with projectors, seats.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to set up chairs like we did in the
well
mall
set
last
up.
year. Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And we also have an after party when it's all done.
So we already sent around the sign-in sheet. What if we sent around another sheet that just had put your name and what you're interested in helping with? Would that be a kind of? We could probably try the same sheet, but it's kind of.
No, let's do. We'll do another one.
I'll merge. I can do mail merge.
I can do that on the Woofu site too. So
We could also send something out electronically.
well, the Woofu site's already set up and it has all the categories of what you can.
Because I think you already volunteered.